Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome back. Another video.
Yeah.
Last time, hopefully you're still with us. We talked about flat Earth. I know people don't like that for some reason. You might not like us after this one. I don't know. Hopefully you like us, because if you were here with us, this is what we'd be talking about.
We're not here for likes. We've already said that.
Yeah, honestly, we don't care about subscribers, likes, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you want to do. I don't care. You know, before too long, we are going to get kicked off of this platform.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. They don't want us on here anyways.
We're here for a time and a season, and then it'll be, we'll we'll be in our homes and shut the doors and we'll be quiet.
Yeah, shut the doors while we wait for the indignation of Yahweh to pass.
Yeah.
Is it indignation of Yahweh? I'll quote the right verse up there so you can read it. But anyways, today we're going to talk about the possible Millennial Reign. But really, we're going to talk about the prophecy, Enoch 93,
Yes.
the week prophecy that he has. And there's a lot of visions within Enoch that are absolutely amazing. And then with all the Apocrypha, the removed texts that were in our KJVs, in the 1611 KJVs that were removed in the 1800s, there's so many amazing prophecies that they don't want you to know. And it's about the end times. And you read a verse last video that was amazing, kind of leads us into this.
Yes. It's Isaiah 46:10, declaring the end from the beginning and from of old that which has not yet been done, saying, my counsel does stand and all my delight I do. I'll just read one other verse that stuck out to me. It's verse 12. Listen to me, you stubborn-hearted, who are far from righteousness. I shall bring my righteousness near. It is not far off. And my deliverance, it is not delayed. And I shall give deliverance in Zion and my esteem to Israel. So I think it kind of lends itself to know the end from the beginning. So we talked in the last video about the beginning, creation. And understanding the lies that we've been told about our Creator's creation, and then also taking a look at what we've been taught in the church relative to end times and the prophecy within those end times. And a lot of, I don't know about you, but I grew up having a lot of Wednesday nights.
We knew each other on
in your church, but like
we were the
a
same.
lot of Sunday nights were spent studying out Revelation and watching a lot of those videos, like A Thief in the Night, one specifically that I was thinking of, and putting the fear of Yahuwah into me as a child about what the end is going to look like, and being raptured or being left behind, so to speak. So you had all of this, and you had the series, the whole Left Behind series, and you had I'm not going to say that was a narrative, but you have a lot of theories on what the end, is going to look like, based on interpretations of Revelation, interpretations of prophecy. And so,
and honestly, it's always going to look different from what we think. Prophecy is always different. I mean, Yeshua is not who they expected.
Yeah.
They did not expect a lowly, guy who walked around probably looking homeless, and probably pretty skinny because he was fasting.
Yeah.
But they didn't expect that. They expected a ruler who was going to save them, a deliverer. And while he was just different looking than they expected. And prophecy's always been that way. That's why it's not recognized when it happens.
Right.
But all these things he will reveal to his prophets first.
Yes. Yes. So I think that's kind of where we want to kind of focus a little bit on some of the things that we've been studying out and testing out over the years. And I think we've not teased, but we've talked a lot about Millennial Reign and mud flood in past videos. Yeah. And so we just want to spend, this is one small video, I think. Right? Yeah.
I think this will add to this.
Yeah,
probably,
absolutely.
But this will only be like a 4-hour video. And then we'll
somebody will like that.
Yeah. So yes, I don't know who would listen to us for 4 hours.
I don't either.
Yeah, but anyways, so you said to know the end from the beginning, the Enoch
declaring the end from the beginning. Sorry.
Yes, the week prophecy within Enoch 93 is a lot about knowing the future events, the future weeks, the future sets of 7 that are coming, the things that we get to see come. And we're looking at Enoch. This book is, believed to be written by Enoch from the beginning.
Yeah.
So to know what we're going to experience, in the next 100 years or 1,000 years, let's look in the very beginning and see what's going to happen. We dealt with the last video with a very important lie, a flat Earth. These are all lies. If we believe that they're
the lie being the globe.
Yeah, not the flat Earth,
Yeah.
but the globe. So if we believe that cosmology is a lie, that history is a lie, the pharmaceutical industry is a lie. History is the big thing. It's one big thing. Are they lying about our history? Do we believe everything they told us in school? All our history books tell us. Or are they hiding something?
Yeah.
What are they trying to hide?
Yeah.
And it's always the case is always they're hiding Yah.
Yeah.
They're hiding him and his ways. They're hiding his son. I don't want you to know about it. They don't want it. They might want you to know about some things, but they don't want you to know the truth about who his son is, who he is in his ways. So, but I guess we'll jump into it. Enoch 93. After this, Enoch began to speak from a sefer, and Enoch said, concerning the children of righteousness, concerning the elect of the world, and concerning the plant of righteousness and integrity. So, there's three people here. It does speak about the plant of righteousness and integrity and the elect of the world later on as we read. These things will I speak of and will explain to you, my children. I am Enoch, in consequence of that which has been shown to me from my heavenly vision and from the voice of the watchers and holy ones have I acquired knowledge, and from the tablet of heaven have I acquired understanding. Enoch then began to speak from a sefer, and said, I have been born the 7th in the 1st week, while judgment and righteousness wait with patience. So, these weekly prophecies, there's, I think, a total of 10 weeks. If you go back through kind of when they began and when they end, and that's what he'll kind of go into, it's anywhere from 700 to 1,000 years.
Each week.
Each week.
Okay.
Yeah, the timelines are a little bit off depending on what version you're reading. It's kind of obvious that the Masoretic has kind of messed with the timeline to try to hide Messiah. The Masoretic was developed by rabbis. They did not like Messiah. So they wanted to get as far away from the prophecy of him coming in the 5.5 days. So the 5.5 days prophecy is found in the book of Adam and Eve, telling Adam that someone from your seed will come and be my son. He will die a death. And by him, you will be able to come back into paradise. He said this will happen in 5.5 days.
Right.
Of course, Adam waited for 5.5 days. Nothing happened. He's like, whoa, I was supposed to go back into paradise.
Yeah.
And he said, no, 5.5 days.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 years to me. So that's 5,500 years.
My 5.5 days.
Yeah, my 5. Yeah, exactly. And so that's how we have to kind of think about even this prophecy within here.
Yeah.
And even with the weekly, the creation of the world.
Yes.
We have to think of it in thousands of years. So if Yeshua, according to the LXX, the Septuagint, Yeshua came back in the year 5,500. That's when he came as a man,
right,
and died on the cross,
right,
the year 5,500. And so we look at that, and if we look at that in the day as 1,000 years, there will be a Sabbath day for Yah, in which there will be rest. It's the 1,000-year reign of Messiah.
Yeah.
So just do your math, and that would have already happened. So we got to look for things to support that if that's really real. So we'll keep reading. All right, verse 5. But after me, in the 2nd week, great wickedness shall arise, and fraud shall spring forth. And that week the end of the first shall take place, in which man will be saved. But when it is completed, iniquity shall grow up, and he shall execute the decree upon sinners. Okay, so this iniquity has come up. This is the Watchers. This is the fallen angels who lusted upon women, came down. The 200 Watchers, over 200, lusted upon women, created the Nephilim, created giants, and many other races. They messed with the genetic makeup of man, made all kinds of creatures. I think it's Ezra or Baruch that says they made these evil creatures that were not from the creation of Yah. And these
Is that were dinosaurs?
Could be. I would say it's probably some of the wicked dinosaurs. That they like to portray in Jurassic Park.
The big ones with the little hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
The weird ones.
I wouldn't say it's like the Brontosaurus or whatever you want to call them, but
the gentle herbivores.
Yeah. I wouldn't say. Who knows? And there's a lot of people who believe that's all a lie. personally, I believe that dinosaurs did exist. There's
There's going to
tons
be
of,
somebody comment that.
sure, there's tons of fossils, but that's not what this video is
No,
about.
I'm sorry.
We could talk about dinosaurs. That would be so
I
much fun.
dragged you into a whole different topic. Okay.
Yeah, they still exist, by the way. They're still seeing them everywhere. But that's a whole nother video. We should do that.
Pause.
Okay, so yeah, you have your second week, and it says that the first week kind of bleeds into the second week right here. So
Okay. Yeah.
we don't really know the timeline perfectly when we read through this weekly prophecy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we gotta kind of mix a little bit, because if you do a lot of study on this, you'll see that these things don't add up. It's because there are 700 to 1,000 years, but they're kind of mixed into each other. So we don't know really when they began, and it's all skewed, it's all veiled,
Right.
so that we cannot know. And there's a reason behind that. Yah doesn't want to give us all the information, because if he did, he wouldn't really know if we truly love him. If we knew everything that was going to happen, and we knew the last day was tomorrow.
Yeah.
If the last day is tomorrow, we're selling everything we got, giving everything to the poor, and going out.
Yeah.
That's how we should live our lives anyways.
Yeah. But we don't.
But we don't. Yeshua said no man has left everything for him.
Yeah.
Man, it would be amazing if somehow we could, learn to do that. But continue reading verse 8. Afterwards, in the third week, during its completion, a man of the plant of righteous judgment shall be selected, and after him the plant of righteousness shall come forever. So this is Abraham, the man. It's when the plant comes from him, the plant being Israel, and ultimately Yeshua. Israel is to be forever.
Jubilees 1:17, and I will disclose to them abounding peace with righteousness, and I will remove them the plant of uprightness, with all my heart and with all my soul, and they shall be for a blessing and not for a curse, and they shall be the head and not the tail. Is that the right verse?
Yeah, so
Yes.
they're bringing
Okay.
out the plant of righteousness, right?
Yeah.
It's talking about the plant of uprightness.
Yeah.
This plant is Israel. So it's coming from and started with the Abraham, which Israel's just the seed of Abraham. And we know through Yeshua we're invited back to the seed of Abraham. We get invited back and grafted in. And so this is your plant of righteousness. So this man, Abraham, this plant of righteousness, Israel, ultimately Yeshua.
Yes.
Okay, so Jubilees 16:26. You want to read that?
And he blessed his creator who had created him in his generation, for he had created him according to his good pleasure, for he knew and perceived that from him would arise the plant of righteousness for the eternal generations, and from him a holy seed, so that it should become like him who made all things.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? This is talking about Abraham right
Yeah.
here. So he knew, and he was showed by Yah, in this vision that, your children are going to be as much as the sand of the seashore, as much as the stars in the sky.
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing, because we are the children of Avraham. We get to come back to the fold. That's why our minds have just been so blown since 2017. Just like,
Yes.
oh my goodness, we are the children of Israel. We get to enjoy the covenants of Israel.
Yes.
There is no chosen people and we're just the church. We actually get to be the real church, the ecclesia, the set apart assembly in the wilderness. It's amazing. So we'll keep reading. Verse 9, subsequently, in the fourth week during its completion, the visions of the holy and the righteous shall be seen, the order of generation after generation, and a habitation shall be made for them. Okay, so this is really interesting. I'm not really sure who this is talking about. I did write Jacob here. Jacob had a vision of the kingdom. And there's testaments of all his sons that they wrote, and they all see visions of their generations. So everyone's telling this called the Testament of the Patriarchs.
Yes.
If you read these are amazing,
amazing.
amazing books.
Yes.
I would definitely, if you haven't read them, definitely recommend reading them. It's incredible to go through the 12 tribes, the 12 sons of Yaakov, and be able to see the prophecies that they prophesied
They're
about
on their deathbed.
yeah, on their deathbed
Yeah.
to their sons.
Yeah.
It's amazing because they're prophesying over their generations, and this is the
And warning them too.
Sure, yeah. This is the visions of the righteous and the order of generations after generations
Yeah.
that they see.
Telling them to keep I think almost every single one they're saying keep the commands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every one of them they're saying keep the commands.
Yeah.
Come back to Yah.
Yeah.
And they actually, Levi prophesies and says, "Hey, you're going to leave. You're going to leave the order." And Judah and Levi are prophesied that people will come from you. Judah is prophesied a king will come from you. The king Messiah will come from you. It's such amazing things that should have been in our Bibles. It's in with the Dead Sea Scrolls. Most people had them and they read them. People quoted from them, but it's not within our scriptures. It's kind of sad. The next verse or the next sentence. Then in the 5th week, during its completion, the house of glory and of dominion shall be erected forever. So this is amazing because there's 2 houses here, the house of glory and the house of dominion. The house of dominion being the temple.
Right.
So this would be during David's time.
Bird just hit the
window. Yeah, he's fine. He flew off.
Yeah.
So this has been near David's time, and the house of glory. This is the real Jerusalem. This is New Jerusalem, the one written on the palm or the back of the hand of Yahweh.
Yeah.
When Ezra and a bunch of the people are seeing the temple destroyed, they're crying out, "Yeah, why is the temple getting destroyed?" And he says, "Do you think this is the temple written on the back of my hand?" He's like, this ain't the temple. This is your house that you destroyed.
Yeah.
You destroyed by not keeping. This is the house of dominion that's getting destroyed.
Yeah.
So there's a real, true New Jerusalem that's written on the hand of Yah.
And what was you were telling me when we were talking about this the other day about David? Like, David he wasn't there for the temple. He didn't build the temple, but he talks about the temple.
Oh yeah, all through the Psalms. All through the Psalms, he's talking about the city of Messiah, the temple, and he didn't see it. He didn't get to build it. He was saving up the materials for Solomon.
Yeah.
But Solomon got to build it.
Yeah.
And David didn't get to be a part of that, but he had seen something else. He had seen the true temple.
Yeah.
And probably wrote down some of the things for Solomon to build. I mean, he was gathering up materials.
Yeah, based on his vision.
Yeah, I would bet he had a blueprint for Solomon to build it.
Yeah.
And said, "This is how I want it built." But all throughout the Psalms, the city of the great king and the extremities of the north. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Psalm
This is
48.
Mount Zion, the city of the great king. He saw the temple, and he knew what it looked like all through the Psalms. It's amazing. But he's talking about this house of glory that will be established forever. But the house of dominion is what we had on this earth.
Yes.
So verse 10, after that in the 6th week, so we're already in the 6th week. So, like we said, 700 years roughly. So we're at, close to year, 4,200 or more, give or take. After that, in the 6th week, all those who are in it shall be darkened. The hearts of all of them shall be forgetful of wisdom. We know wisdom is set apart. It's from the Ruach HaKodesh. And it is the Ruach HaKodesh. And she, being wisdom, is taken from people. So they quit following the Torah.
Yeah.
And in it shall a man arise and come forth. And during its completion, he shall burn the house of dominion with fire, and all the race of the elect root shall be dispersed. This is incredible.
So what is this? What do we think this is?
This is incredible because this man that arises somewhere between 4,200 and up. If it's 1,000 years, we're at 6,000 years right here. So somewhere between 4,200 and 6,000 years. Who's this man that's supposed to come during this time? This is the 5.5 days prophecy.
Yeah.
The man is Yahushua HaMashiach.
Yes.
That came. And it says, and during its completion, he shall burn the house of dominion. So we just talked about the house of dominion being the temple. I feel like I'm talking so much. My voice is.
Is it starting to?
Yeah. And we still got 4 more weeks to go. Yes. All right. Okay. All right. We can keep going.
Okay.
All right. So the man arises, Yeshua, and the house of dominion is burned. This is after his crucifixion. 40 years after his crucifixion, Rome burns the house, destroys the temple, completely destroys it, roots it up all the way to its foundation. And that's when he says the time is coming and the time now is where you will not worship in Jerusalem. So he's looking for worshipers of spirit and in truth. By the way, if you want to worship in spirit, it's not throwing up your hands and saying, "I got the spirit." Spirit's set apart. The spirit is the Ruach, the set apart spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh.
Yes.
It comes by wisdom. It comes by the Torah of Elohim. It's the only way to be set apart. You're not set apart if you eat pork. I'm sorry. Pork makes us unclean. It takes us away from the Father. All sin does. All transgressions. If we want to be set apart, man, we got to keep the Torah. By the way, we're not saying we have become that. We are trying so hard,
set apartness,
so hard. Yes, yeah, and that's a little different than what I think we were.
Yeah,
we're really honestly wanting to pursue holiness, just like we're told to. Be ye holy, for I'm holy. Be ye perfect, for your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the 6 week around like 70 AD. Is that towards?
Yeah. So 70 AD
AD
is when the temple was destroyed.
Yeah.
So this is the 5,500 year mark when Yeshua came on the scene. Okay. So 5,500 years since the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, at least the beginning of Adam being created. And then you have 70. This is 70 AD. So it kind of gives you kind of a timeline where we're at. Verse 12 says, afterwards, in the 7th week, a perverse generation shall arise. Abundant shall be its deeds, and all its deeds perverse. During its completion, the righteous shall be selected from the everlasting plant of righteousness, and to them shall be given the 7-fold doctrine of the whole creation. Okay, so this is the age of apostasy, the perverse generation. And what was going on at this time? Obviously, we have history to tell us some of these things, but history could be skewed. So we got to be really watchful kind of and look within Scripture to figure out who this is. Daniel 7:25 is a great verse. And it talks about the beasts, these beasts that Daniel sees in his vision. And it lets you know kind of what they do.
Okay. And it speaks words against the Most High, and it wears out the set-apart ones of the Most High, and it intends to change appointed times and law, and they are given into its hand for a time and times and half a time.
Exactly. So who was this beast that was given the authority to change times and law? And this is the exact kind of timeline that this perverse generation arose. This verse in 2 Baruch 35, 5 through 6.
39.
This verse in 2 Baruch 39, thank you, baby, 5 through 6, a 4th kingdom will arise, whose power will be harsh and evil, far beyond those which were before it. And by it the truth will be hidden, and all those who are polluted with iniquity will flee to it. This is very important because who developed our Bibles? Who developed basically the beliefs of Christianity? If you look at a lot of the writings with Tertullian, you had all these bishops coming together, hundreds of bishops coming together during the Council of Nicaea, deciding what Christianity was going to look like, deciding what future generations were going to believe.
And what books would be in.
Absolutely. Deciding what books were going to be in our Bibles. Yeah. They threw out tons of books. They didn't include tons of books for whatever reasons. And I've read a good bit of these, what these bishops say. They hated anything to do with the Jews. Really, they honestly, if you look at the Constantine's, the Constantine Creed, he wanted anyone who believed in Christianity to step away from Judaism. They didn't want anything to do with Jews. Not necessarily Judaism, but just the belief in the Jewish traditions, the Torah.
Yeah.
They hated the Torah. They hated the feast days. In fact, these bishops started their own feast days. In Tertullian, they started their own feast days. This was during the Council of Nicaea, which we know as Christmas, Easter, and they did carry one over being Pentecost, but it's totally different from what we're even supposed to be doing on Pentecost.
Yeah.
They didn't want to do anything Yah wanted them to do. They created a new religion, so they hid the truth. Truth is Psalm 119, 142, the Torah is truth, so they hid it.
I just want to read this because when you said they created their own traditions, Jubilees 6, 35, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of other nations after their error and after their ignorance.
Absolutely.
So here we're told in Jubilees this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a prophecy for after the sons of Noah are going to do this.
Yes.
And it just kept going. All these nations,
created their own ways of worshiping Yah.
And Israel slowly gave in to them. And then guess what? The house of dominion, 70 AD, destroyed.
Yes.
Rome took over. It's the perverse generation. So it's the perverse generation we see in the 7th week. Okay, so when did Rome fall? We know that the temple fell in 70 AD. This is recorded throughout multiple sources, so it's not, to me, it's not like something we can say, well, that's just what official history says.
Yeah.
It's recorded in multiple places. This was a big event, and all of Judah was dispersed, so they were completely dispersed. And it says the race of the elect root shall be dispersed right there in the 6th week. So that's near the year 5500 when Yeshua came, plus 70. So when you're looking at 6,020. Is that right?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Let
50.
me get my calculator.
Man, we're so smart.
We're not trying to be the smartest people in the room.
Yeah, but so verse 12, so the 7th week, we're looking at just right after 70 AD. Rome fell around the 700s. So this is your 700 to 1,000 year kind of timeline. So from 70 AD to 700s, this is when you had all your Caesars ruling.
Right.
And this is when, you had your Antichrist that they said, there are Antichrists, many Antichrists right now. You had your tons of Antichrists right now. And John writes about the Caesars. He says that, hey, you're going to know these people. And all these people, especially the late Caesars, the 3 last Caesars, were all, their names equaled 666. And this is when we get our Antichrist coming.
Right.
Afterwards, verse 17, at the end of the 7th week, it talks about they'll be given the sevenfold doctrine of the whole creation.
Which you talked about in the last video.
Sure. I think this is amazing because this is kind of like the time we're living in right now. I believe this already happened, but Rome was given the chance to change everything, change laws, change seasons. They probably even told their people they were on a globe or something. They probably told their people this is not, Yah didn't create this. They were given all kinds of new feast days, everything. And at
New ways to worship on the 7th day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at some point near the end of this particular week, the sevenfold doctrine was given of all creation, was given to the righteous seed. And they started talking about it. And it's like right now, people started waking up and saying, oh my goodness, we're supposed to keep the Torah. They started coming back to Yah.
Yeah.
Started coming back to him.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I feel like that's where we are now. And it should be because we find out in Revelation, the beast is the one who was,
Right.
who was not,
Yeah.
and now who is again.
Yeah.
So the beast is Rome.
Right.
The Rome who was not, it was destroyed, and now is again. The beast is also described in Revelation as being the city of 7 hills. And there are 7 hills in Rome. Right now, we live in modern day Rome, in my opinion. Everything Rome taught, this is what our nation and what the world teaches right now. Washington is also a city of 7 hills, with Capitol Hill being where the capital is.
Right.
But there are, these 2 cities are cities of 7 hills. They're the exact same. They're copies of each other. And we're living in this time at the very end of our week where the sevenfold doctrine of the whole creation has been given to his children, to the righteous seed, the plant of brightness. Anyways, I just think that's incredible because I just see so much of Roman society in the world today. This is exactly what Christianity is today.
So to what you were saying about the sevenfold doctrine of creation and it being given to the righteous, wisdom is also being given to the righteous during this time. Enoch 91:12 says, righteousness shall be raised up from slumber. They'll wake up. We've been talking about these awakenings, right? We're all that Rob talked about the Ephraim awakening in 2011. Righteousness shall be raised up from slumber. Wisdom shall be raised up and conferred upon them, given to them. Right.
Wow.
So I just think that's amazing. Just confirms what you just said.
Yeah, well, the sevenfold doctrine of creation, it's got 7 parts to it.
Yeah.
It can't just be the true shape of the earth.
Right.
Maybe it's something more. Maybe it's the Torah being reintroduced. Maybe it's the calendar being reintroduced. I'm sure you had, well, I'm sure, if this happened before, they knew it at some point.
Yeah.
This goes right along with Revelation 20. If you read kind of what Revelation 20 is saying,
Yes.
you can follow this. It's like he's, just reiterating it. Not Enoch, John's reiterating Enoch. It's really amazing. So your next week is going to start. So right here, I'll just go ahead and read the next week. Afterwards, there shall be, verse 13, afterwards there shall be another week, the 8th of righteousness, to which shall be given a sword to execute judgment and justice upon all the oppressors. Sinners shall be delivered up into the hands of the righteous, who during its completion shall acquire habitations by their righteousness, and the house of the great king shall be established for celebrations forever. After this, in the 9th week, shall the judgment of the righteous be revealed to the whole world. This is amazing. Okay, so we are in somewhere around 700. This is when Rome fell. This is the 6th week. The 8th week starting. This is your 6,000th year. So this is the starting your Sabbath rest. Okay, so this is the 1,000 years of rest. Now, our official history loves to call this the Dark Ages, which is hilarious because it's such a lie. Because this was actually, according to Enoch here, this was the Enlightenment. This was the Light Ages. This is where light came down and dwelt with man. This is the Millennial Reign. So, like we said, this is 700 to 1,000 years. This is when righteousness dwelt on the earth, and righteousness increased, and power was given to it to destroy all wickedness out of the earth. And we read within the Gospel of Kaledi, we've been reading that lately, but it's amazing because you have Yeshua, and he's telling you, if you want to bring on the rule of Elohim, you don't have to pick up a sword, and it doesn't just come down. It's here already. All you have to do is obey it. Like all you have to do is keep the Torah and obey Yahweh. Because if you're obeying the devil, all you're doing is obeying his reign. You're allowing him to reign.
Beckoning, you're calling for his reign to come.
Exactly. You're allowing him to reign. And we know sin is transgression of the Torah. So if we choose not to transgress the Torah, we're not sinning. And if we choose to keep the Torah, we are asking for the reign of Elohim, and Elohim will reign among us. So you had this sevenfold doctrine of creation given to the whole creation. People started following righteousness. Rome destroyed. Antichrist destroyed the first one. And by the way, when I said the beast in Revelation, read that. I know we think it's a man. The pronoun used is his in KJV and many other translations, but look at it, the pronoun is it. It's talking about not the beast is always referred to within Daniel, within many, Ezra talks about the beast. It's referred to as a nation. This is the kingdom, not a man. Now, not to say there isn't a man. There is a man of lawlessness. He's a man that doesn't believe in the Torah. He is the man of lawlessness will come. The son of perdition, but this beast that we've been all looking for, who's the beast and who's going to give the mark of the beast? It's a nation, So anyways, so you have this time when they're just
in the Dark Ages.
In the Dark Age. The Dark Ages, when righteousness is just abounding. And a sword's been given to it, and they acquire habitations. I think this is beautiful because this is where if you've done any research in the mud flood and any of the Millennial Reign stuff, this is beautiful because this is where you get all your amazing cathedrals. Like you get these things, like the Sistine Chapel, like these beautiful architecture. Where did this stuff come from? Who built this stuff? We cannot replicate it today. And how did they do this with horse and buggy? Did they even?
And they did it in short order too, right?
The official narrative tells you that they built it in hundreds of years. But they didn't do that. And there's so much here. We could literally spend a whole video just on this one subject.
That still exist today.
Still exist today, thousands from 1,000, 1,500 years ago. They're still standing. It's amazing, and a lot of them have been destroyed. They purposely have destroyed many of them. To kind of get rid of this idea that there was this past civilization that was better than ours. And they want this new industrial age to be the strong. They want it to look like we've hit the top level of evolution. Look at us. They don't want you to know the past and where you came from, and that there was 1,000 years of righteousness.
And they were following the Torah. Yeshua was reigning, right? So they were keeping the feast days. Right?
It's amazing. Within okay, so within Zechariah 14 through 16, 14, 16 through 21. I mean, it tells you that during this time, and this is Millennial Reign talk here, they're talking about, as the Millennial Reign. You can read more of Zechariah to test me. But it does tell you on the end that during this time, all nations will be required to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. They'll be required to keep all the feasts. They'll be required to come up to Mount Zion and keep these feasts. If they don't, they won't receive water on their land. They will not receive water for their harvest. This is during Millennial Reign, so there is still sin. There are still nations who refuse to keep the rule of Elohim and refuse to be a part of it while Elohim is ruling. This is amazing because we know there's still sin. So eventually sin just kind of takes over all these nations, and they basically don't want the rule. You know, and so you had all these habitations given to the righteous. During this time, I think you had saints coming down. You actually had Peter. That's why you have Peter's Basilica, St. Peter. They call him a saint. There is a lot of truth to some of these saints and the sainthood that the Roman Catholic Church kind of put forth. There's tons of truth to that. It's always based on a little bit of truth. So you kind of have to weave through all the lies. But these were saints. And I believe, they came down, they were priests and kings over these nations. So they ruled these nations as kings and priests. That's what Peter tells us. And he's just quoting the Torah, that you'll have kings and priests ruling. And so that's where I think they actually ruled from. A lot of these,
during the 1,000-year reign,
Yeah, sure. A lot of these ancient castles and things like that. By the way, look at any of the old ancient maps. There's castles everywhere, like all kinds of things, just huge places that were just built every beautiful places. And none of them have bathrooms. That's another amazing thing. That's where they got the hidden storehouses of manna. That's written in Revelation. But anyways, they made the house of the great king. Where is this house of the great king? Should it still be on the earth?
It was just going to be short, but you can't say that but not expound a little bit upon.
Well, okay, so we'll come back. We'll come back through all this in greater detail. But you learn in Revelation 20 that at the end of this week, Hasatan is going to gather all nations together. So this is the end of the Millennial Reign. He will gather all nations together. And he wants them all to come together for the great battle, the battle of Gog and Magog.
Verse 8, 20.
Yeah. So he's bringing them all together, and they all go around. They all gather around the house of Yahweh, or the house of the great king, or the camp of Yah. This is the camp of the saints. So this is where all the saints went when they left the sinful nations, because these nations refused to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. A lot of them refused to keep all these things. Now, some of them did. We have tons of evidence that the American Indians were keeping Passover, were keeping some of the feast days. They were actually even speaking Hebrew. There's tons of evidence just near here, just an hour near us in Tennessee. They dug up a stone that had Hebrew writing on it. You have the Decalogue stones. I think those are in Arizona or Texas or something, which was the commandments written in Hebrew that the American Indians were doing. So you had these nations. I'm talking so much. I feel like
no, it's good.
But
you have more depth of knowledge of this subject.
No, this is all investigation. So we're just kind of just investigating what this even means. But you have plenty of evidence that these nations kept the feast days.
But Satan was released, right? And they went out to go make war with the camp of Yah.
The camp of Yah. They gathered all around it. So today.
And it says fire came down, right? Go ahead, I might be jumping ahead.
Well, fire came down and ultimately destroyed them. Yah basically decides, hey, that's it. No more. And he creates a new heaven and new earth. So today, just look at the map just as we know it. All nations are gathered around one point. We're all circled around one point, especially on a flat earth map. But all of us are circled around one area. And that's the North Pole. And I know this is crazy to some people, maybe, but
you have to look at an old map to understand this, though.
Yeah, so if we look at a map,
on your phone.
Yeah, so I'll put up a couple of maps right here. But if you look at all the old maps, you have a strange area looking like the North Pole right here, and it has a magnetic mountain in the middle. With 4 rivers coming out of it. And there's a lot written on this. You also have, is it in Psalms 48?
Psalms 48.
Psalms 48 says the city of the great king is on the extreme parts of the north. Mount Zion
Yeah.
This is the actual Mount Zion, the extreme parts of the north. So if we go the most north we can go, we're going to end up at the North Pole. Santa Claus does not live there.
They created a good lie.
Yeah, the elves don't live there. And that's one reason they created this, because it sounds so stupid to say that Yeshua might be at the North Pole.
We're
But
going to sound crazy saying this.
Yeah.
Too, to some people.
Yeah, to some people. And, this is still under investigation.
Sure.
There's quite a bit more lands that are undiscovered on this earth. We don't even know the vastness of the earth.
Yeah.
It's at least double the size, most likely, than what we even know.
Again, right? There's this control mechanism. Hasatan's done good about, controlling what we think we know about the earth, right? Especially if you can just see it on a spinning globe like that, you can just flip around and turn. You can just see the top, the bottom,
see everything,
and everything all in its circumference.
Yeah, but we know that Scripture tells us no one will know the breadth of the earth.
Sure.
No one will.
Yeah.
So we haven't been able to circumnavigate anything.
Yeah, but it's possible that the camp of Yah, the congregation, right, is right there.
Could still be there.
Yeah.
Because his house is forever. There is a millennial reign when he reigns on the whole earth in righteousness, a time of righteousness. But Satan eventually takes back over, and this is the short season when Satan's released from the bottomless, or from the, is it bottomless pit? The abyss? I can't remember.
He's released from, it says from his prison. So.
Okay, he's released from the prison for a short season, however long this may be, to deceive the whole earth. Now, during this time, if you go back to Enoch, and we see that the watchers were punished. The watchers of the 200 angels came down mated with earth women, creating the Nephilim and all kinds of evil things.
Yeah.
They came down teaching how to work metals, how to do all kinds of stuff. Told humans how to do all kinds of abominations. Okay, not that working metal is an abomination. Some of the things I think were okay. They were supposed to help men originally, and they came down and started lusting. Okay, so when they came down, they did all these things. They were punished by Yah. Punished so hard that Michael the archangel even was surprised by what Yah did. So he put him in the prison for 70 generations. Now, if we believe a generation is 70, 80th by good strength, 80th by strength, 70 years times 70 generations, 4,900 years. So you add that up and you're going to come up with in the 17 to 1800s. So these watchers were possibly released in the 17 to 1800s.
Industrial Revolution. Right.
Industrial revolution,
industrial,
they came down, same thing, teaching iron, the works of iron, teaching all these things.
So when you have Henry Ford,
Absolutely.
automobiles being created.
Oh, absolutely. Most of these things, if you do some investigation on Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, all these people, Henry Ford, the Wright brothers, all of them talk about having some sort of demonic influence. Like they had a vision or had some dream by some demon or something like that. They were influenced by something.
Were they the Watchers?
Yeah. So you had possibly the Watchers being released. I personally believe they are released. I personally believe this is what we see up in the sky that people tell us are satellites. But I know you can say anything at this point because we've talked about flat Earth. Now we're talking about Yeshua living in the North Pole. So I can be real here because if you're still listening, then you can hear that and not get up crazy. But okay, so we'll keep reading.
Quickly, Real quick. Do you want me to read so that will give you a break?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Verse 15.
Yeah. Every work of the wicked, we're back in Enoch 93, verse 15. Every work of the wicked shall disappear from the whole earth. The whole world shall be marked for destruction, and all men shall be on the watch for the path of integrity. Want me to keep reading? And after this, the 7th day of the 10th week, there shall be an everlasting judgment, which shall be executed upon the watchers. And a spacious eternal heaven shall spring forth in the midst of the angels. The former heaven shall depart and pass away. A renewed heaven shall appear, and all the celestial powers shine with sevenfold splendor forever. Afterwards likewise shall there be many weeks, which shall externally exist in goodness and in righteousness. Neither shall sin be named there forever and ever.
That's amazing. So this is the
10th week.
Yeah, so this is the new heavens, new earth. It also says there will be many weeks after this. I know we kind of all wonder, what are we going to do in heaven for all eternity?
Yeah.
But there's many weeks on the earth, and possibly, it says no sin. So possibly, I don't know. I don't know if there'll be nations here that are ignorant and that are still seeking Yah. I'm not sure. I have no idea, but there'll be many weeks, and the meek will inherit the earth. we get to inherit this whole realm,
Right.
and a new created earth that's sevenfold the splendor.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That's incredible to me.
Yeah.
And you don't get much of that in Revelation. You just say, "Oh, new heavens, new earth." At Revelation 20, after the Gog Magog war, he destroys everything, and new heaven, new earth.
Yeah.
You know, but that's basically what we're reading here. There's a judgment that's decreed upon the watchers.
Right.
You have the, I don't even know if it's in scripture, but I always heard it be called the great white throne judgment.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know if that's in scripture, but we will all be measured.
Yeah.
We'll all be measured anyways at our death, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the people who are coming from didn't take part in the first resurrection.
Right.
So this is everyone else. This is us.
Yeah.
We didn't take part in the first resurrection, at least to my knowledge. But anyways, it's amazing. There's so much here. We could actually go over.
Yeah. We might do another video.
Yeah, I think we'll probably go over verse 13. The week of righteousness, the 8th week of righteousness. I mean, you could
There's so much to
for
talk about
hours,
that. Yeah.
hours and hours about that.
Yeah.
Because it's incredible. But
Your
this
voice
is
won't
just
let you.
yeah, we got kids. We can't do that. But this is just a quick rundown of Enoch 93, the timeline. And
We didn't really even talk about the mud flood.
yeah, we can talk about
So-
next time. Yeah. So this just to talk about real quick, the mud flood. There's a lot of evidence to something happened in the 1800s, and kind of a reset that happened. And this, in my opinion, is when your watchers were released. So your watchers were released from their prison after being down there for 70 generations. And this is also, well, I don't know. I don't think Hasatan would have already been released at this point.
Yeah.
But this is the watchers, and this is when everything started, the Industrial Revolution, technology, all this stuff. And here we are today in the 21st century, and we're dealing with the exact same things that Rome dealt with, dealing with possible Antichrist,
Right.
a mark, and we're actually looking for the Gog-Magog war. So we're still in the end. We're just in a different week, I think, than we actually have been told.
Yeah, that's a
And,
good point.
But one thing that's true throughout this whole thing, one thing that's always been true. So if we don't have the millennial reign to look forward to, if we don't have, the first resurrection to look forward to, it doesn't matter. The thing that's true is the Torah is still here. This Torah is
Abides.
still what we need to be doing, and that's so important, because it doesn't matter where you are in history. Every man's been given a time, place in history
Yes.
to live and to do something.
Yes.
What is that thing?
Yes.
They've been all sent here to do the whole duty of man, to fear Elohim
and to keep his
commandments. So, that's the gist of this whole video. It's amazing. I love prophecy.
Yeah.
I love reading through this, and there's so much. I mean, you could sit here for hours and read this stuff. Actually, my throat's kind of hurting, so I don't think I could do this any longer.
Yeah.
But the whole duty of man, it's the Torah. That's what it's all about, is coming back to the word of Yah, doing his ways, repenting, accepting the atonement. By the way, believing in his only begotten son is Torah. That is a commandment.
Yeah.
To believe in his only begotten son.
Seek ye first the kingdom
Yeah.
of Elohim,
Yeah.
right? That's what we should be doing. And this is kingdom mindset. I mean, I think this is us wanting, desiring, hungering for knowledge, but we should be hungering for righteousness first,
Yeah.
right? Hungering for and searching out these things, these matters. We've talked about that verse before, but is important, but none of them is more important than the duty of us all.
Absolutely. Well, wisdom and knowledge only comes by the fear of Elohim and keeping of the commandments.
That's right.
So you're not going to get, good wisdom, sound wisdom without,
Amen.
having the Torah. So, shalom.
There's the rundown.
Shalom. Hopefully that was interesting to somebody. I love Enoch 93. We're going to talk about this more. We're going to, kind of go back through this, and maybe we can spend some time on the mud flood next time.
Yeah, that'd be good. Let us
Maybe
know
you
what
could talk
questions.
the whole time. I won't have to
Let
talk.
us know what questions you have in the comments, please. We'd love to continue the conversation. So,
Yeah.
all right, shalom.
Shalom.
Have a good day.